Hello guys, welcome to the Trading Parrot. If there is one coin out of all the coins following a deja vu effect at the moment, that is SUI. In today's video, we're going to assess what could happen if this repetition pattern plays out. At the moment, it's about to confirm a breakout on the weekly time frame. We're going to look into some news about this coin, what is driving this move up. We'll sneak into some ideas from other technical traders. We'll look into three levels that are critical for liquidation levels that could be attracting the price in the short, medium term. We'll cover aspects like socials and a lot more. Guys, if you like this type of content, make sure that you're subscribed to the channel. Hit the notification bell to get notified every time I put out one of these videos. 1,000 likes will make a huge difference for my channel. At that point, the YouTube algorithm gives up with not showing my content to the right people, and instead the channel is gonna start growing at a very fast pace. So I count on you to hit the like before you continue watching the video. Thanks for that. It was around December when we noticed that SUI was putting a breakdown in this area. There was a rolling over and there was a very similar pattern to what we already noticed in February in 2024. So just as an initial idea, I started saying, what if we put another bearish divergence in this area? I'm talking about the RSI weekly. And then after that, what if we put a channel to the downside? And in that sense, we were very precise in the forecast. What I wasn't expecting was the depth of this pullback to be so similar to the previous one. Indeed, I remember saying multiple times, what will surprise investors will be if this channel was half the size of this one in here, the one that caused SUI a drawdown of 81% in the middle of 2024. But if we look at the momentum and we measure from this top to the bottom of the RSI and we place it in an equivalent position, you can see that we're getting very close actually. If we just move 6 points lower from the lows that we already have, we pretty much mimic the whole move. And that's what I meant by deja vu, because at the moment, what we are seeing is an actual breakout from the resistance out of the same channel in a similar way to what we were doing in July in 2024. So now let's look at the price action and let's see what happened at that point after the breakout. You can see that the price had one red candle followed by two green candles. Right after that, price put a new low. That new low, believe it or not, was a 47% drawdown. That is from the day of the breakout. And I want to pay attention to this because you might think that maybe once you get the confirmation of the breakout, everything is going to be pink color from there, and that is guaranteed. Well, you can see that it seems that SUI likes to repeat history, and if it's not just going to repeat the performance of the same sort of drawdown, the same sort of top, if we repeat the same exit from here, we could see a decent drawdown as well. I wouldn't count on it, but I will prepare myself when it comes to risk management for something like that. For example, if I enter in a position this particular week and I'm planning to place my stop loss 10% lower than the price, imagine price goes not necessarily 40 something percent, but it just needs to go 15% and then you hit the stop loss. Psychologically speaking, how are you going to handle that? Are you going to re-enter from lower and get hit again? Or would you prepare a DCA alternative to enter on SUI at this point in time? It can also happen that if you are just sitting on your hands, we don't repeat the same performance in here and we just start pumping and then you don't have any position on SUI. You know, we are in the world of trading, so anything can happen really. In this area in here, let's continue analyzing what happened. We have a low, then a higher low on the RSI. So that is a bullish divergence applied against a lower low, both on closing prices and the wick to the downside that went from 88 cents then to 45 cents, and that is almost that 50% drawdown post the breakout. If you're able to recognize those patterns and understand that what is going on in here is that we are building structure for a reversal, let's call it an M pattern that was built in this area, then a higher low on the price, not just a higher low on the RSI, which is what happened with the lower low on the price first. That's the bullish divergence. And after that, if you were able to stomach all of that, and if things do play out in the right way, then you see an upside of 600%. And we could say that only the people that spot these patterns and had conviction on the technicals and potentially even the fundamentals of the coin get paid by such an enormous performance in the coin. In this area in here, we have to admit that this could go up until $3 and hit the next resistance if you want to play the conservative approach and just wait for a double bottom first. Let's see what's going on this week as well. Let's focus now in the current price action. We can see that we lost the support of $2.4. We came back down up until $2, which is a psychological level, and it was resistance in the previous peak highest closing of the price. The price that time went to $2.20, but the closing price roughly closed below the $2. So that is the level that currently is holding the price, and that is where we started rallying into 2.4. We hit it as resistance for 2 weeks, and this particular week is when the price is breaking out above it. It's not confirmed. By Sunday, we need to hold that. If by Sunday we close below 2.4, that is the ugliest rejection that SUI can have. And at that point, we should be expecting to challenge again $2. That's why it's extremely important that by Sunday we are still above 2.4, and the highest we get, of course, the best. On the RSI, we are seeing the breakouts. So that's equivalent to this one. The reason I show you how bad it went after this breakout with that bullish formation that took 3 more weeks is because in case you are trading intra-candle this week and you're planning to enter as of now, and you're not mentally prepared for the chances that we also repeat what happened in here at this area on SUI, that surprise is gonna really slap you strong in the face. Let's look at next levels. So we talk about the $3, then we have the $3.4 that was resistance on the dead cat bounce. It was support around November. Then we have $5.25, and I missed the 3.8 that is also important. I'm gonna continue with the technicals. We're gonna look into what other traders are saying. I also just added the social dominance using one of my pro VIP indicators, which by the way, today are on sale up until the end of March. 35% is the discount. You can get them from my Patreon. Just go to the products. There's an area called the shop, and you apply this discount, 35% over the price. It's gonna cost around $400 for the full year. This includes all my VIP indicators that I cover in most videos. For example, the RSI VIP, the Delta Longs Shorts, TTP Lunar Crash, and a long list. I haven't counted them, but I think they might be around 50, 60 indicators. Let's look as well at what's going on with the longs versus shorts. Some other insights in here that are very sneaky. Look at the breakout area in July 2024, the breakout from the RSI that ended up putting a 50% drawdown during a bullish divergence. At that point during the breakout, we were at 51 longs versus shorts. After the price went down 48% lower, the delta longs versus shorts also went deeper and it touched 49. So let's see where we are right now in the breakout. Instead of being at 51.88, now we are at 53, 1 point away from that. So that confirms to me that there is a chance that the initial breakout is gonna have some potential further downside. Let's say just a move like this and the price can still move deeper and make everybody believe that that was a terrible entry. Luckily for us, if we plan for it, if we are emotionally prepared for that, even if it doesn't end up playing as a 600% to the upside, we can deploy our entries in a smart way. One entry now, another entry 15% lower, another one at 30% lower, and you should have enough caution diminishing that chances that you really get wrecked on a coin that after a breakout can crash 48% additional. Of course, that additional risk is the one that is paying off for that increased upside, right? You don't get 600% on an asset that doesn't have some decent risk as well. Some other similarities that I'm seeing at the moment is coming from a completely different area, and this is talking about the socials. What you're seeing in here is my indicator that tracks data from Lunar Crash. You have access to the alt rank, to galaxy score, social dominance, and sentiment. And what I did is I attached a Bollinger Bands and I connected to the data of the indicator just to get some visuals of what are the extremes. For example, in here you can see that SUI was attracting too many people relative to the social dominance that usually you get on this coin. We could say that the average is around 0.5% of all crypto is looking at SUI most of the time. In this period in here, it gets to an average of 1% of all people are talking about SUI. And where are we at the moment? We are below the average. That average as of today should be roughly 1.2, but this week is below 1% and is getting closer to the lower band of Bollinger Bands. That means that little people are paying attention while we're having a breakout. How were things during the breakout in July? Not very different. We are below the average, slightly above the green line. So this is confirming from the social point of view that the dominance across all social networks of SUI at the moment is very small. Very little people are paying attention. Is that good? Yes. Do I need to go all in and ignore risk management, ignore the fact that we can go 48% lower after that because the coin has already done it just around the corner a few months ago? Hell no. I mean, do whatever you want. This is not financial advice. I personally will never do it. And that's why we do all decisions with data, and that's how we don't get wrecked in such a challenging environment like crypto is. Let's talk about upsides and some targets. If you want to trade SUI, consider opening an account on OKX. At the moment, I have exclusive rewards for up to $60,000 if you use the link in the description. But if you want to stay out of KYC, I've got two options for you. One is bluffing. By using the link in the description, you can get 10% cashback. On BitUnix is also non-KYC. Also, the link is in the description. We got here a trader that is publishing an idea of what could happen with SUI. We're gonna see what's his thinking, and he's talking about the breakout that happened and is retesting on 17th of March. Is showing us how in the 4 hour we could be entering on a trade with the risk placed at $2.1 and targeting 3.5 with an entry roughly at 2.4. We are now at 2.66, so risk is a lot more elevated relative to that entry, because if it's a liquidity hunt, it can take you all the way from 266 to the stop loss of 2.1, and it's not taking in consideration that potential risk of the lower low on the price with a higher low on the weekly RSI that we discussed earlier. There are some ideas as well in here where they're talking about a worst case scenario going back into $1.2. Let's discuss about those liquidation levels, because I think doing TA like this is great. You can capture support and resistance, use RSI and take these trades, but without looking at the liquidation levels, I feel a little bit like we are missing out on some very critical information. But before of that, let's see what's driving this move. We have SUI crypto news. With ETF file and growing adoption, can it hit $3 and outperform Sol? SUI reclaims the key 2.4. We spot that level, I remember. It's been 15 days of rally showing strong performance for SUI. On Lunar Crash, it says SUI is experiencing a significant surge in price and popularity, with some investors and traders predicting a major breakout and potential 100% gains. The coin's unique features, including its layer 1 blockchain and Web3 ecosystem, are being touted as key factors in its success. And on ChatGPT, I'm getting the price surge, the ETF filing, and just overall market performance. Increasing institutional interest and strong market performance seems to be the key factor. Alright, shall we talk seriously here about levels? Now that we know everything, we know past performance, we know the news, we know we are in a very similar setup as in July 2024, let's assess the situation and let's be smart about it. We got a breakout. Sure, good for you, SUI. What else can we say? Well, we have a liquidation level right below the price. How far is it? Well, it's located roughly at 1.564, but it could span all the way if we want to get to the bottom end of that 1.3. All right, where are we? We are at 2.6, so that is pretty much a correction of 41 if we take the red. If we take the yellow, is 44, and if we take the green, is 48. If we take it all, it's a 50% correction. If you tell this thing in the cold to anyone on social media on a day that the coin is going up like this, they're gonna swear at you. And that's pretty much precisely what you want to create your confirmation of your bias that that thing is on the table. It is not a confirmation to say, all right, it's 100% guaranteed, but it increases the chances given that everybody is pointing up and thinking that something is impossible, and you see the motivation to go there, and you start thinking like the market maker. So a potential great plan is to enter on SUI on a pullback that hits support on the 4-hour or on the daily on channels on the RSI. Enter with certain volume and assume that there is a good chance that that level is going to get taken out. Next, identify secondary levels of failure. For example, in here we have the 1.8 level that has a decent amount of liquidity, but it's not necessarily the worst case scenario that perfectly matches what happened in July 2024. Because we are smart, we are thinking that potentially we don't get that low, but we can still benefit. For example, from a pullback that just goes into $2.2, grabs the small liquidity, and then there is just so much bullishness that this continues. Therefore, you will have your first entry. If that doesn't play out and this is not enough for market maker and we go for this, you get your order 2. And if we mimic perfectly what happened before, we go for order 3. Below that, can we still go lower? Oh yeah, I think just a month ago we saw so many altcoins going beyond the bottoming liquidity, but I think at that point we were very close to that capitulation. For example, on Solana we went to $110, and beyond that there was really not that much left, and some other coins went below the last bit of liquidity just because they were mimicking what general markets and Bitcoin was doing when it went to 76k. So there you go, those are the 3 levels based on past performance. Now you are responsible to decide whatever you want to do. If you still think that this is mental, this is a waste of resources, and you get lucky, you get a round of applause for taking such a silly risk. One day that won't work, and that's the day that you're gonna feel like it's worth learning to actually trade and not just gamble. All right, levels to the upside. Let's start spreading some hopium in here. We have 4.2 as the next target. That is the largest order block I can see. This dropped the price in a single move 43% down. So great alternative to target if we go beyond the $3. Next, when things start coming back into really bullish for SUI, we could hit the 5.4, 5.5. This level is quite thick. It's not just a single price. 5.4 is the peak, but realistically, this whole thing that goes from 5.1 to 5.8, so the full $5 range, is at the moment in the long term the biggest liquidation pool. And I'm not saying that that's where the fun stops. We can go even further up. But at that point, if we want to go up, we need to be monitoring, trading different, and see if we have good liquidity forming to the upside. And if we entered on price exploration, then we need to use Fibonacci extensions. So let's do a little bit of that. Let's start with a potential target that mimics what's going on in here. And what's going on in here? Well, we have a channel to the upside, guys. We have this in here, and on the top we have this, and we have at the moment a breakdown of support. So we're gonna have to watch out for what happened at 52 weekly RSI. So that is a must that I didn't see before, but it's very important to not miss that small but extremely important detail. Let's call it 51, and for a top crazy target, 81. So 51 caution, 81 very extremely bullish target, only achievable if we fully repeat the deja vu move that we are repeating currently. Notice as well that we lost this channel, so if we recover 51, we should be taking out from here slightly a chunk, given that this shifted one level lower. All right, let's go and calculate 51, 81, and let's take a little bit from that 81. Let's use the reverse RSI, which is included in the VIP package, and it's beautiful because this version is gonna give you multiple levels that you can calculate in one go. 51 is the first turmoil, and 81, let's put it first, the original value. Let's see how crazy is that. So that is $11. The first resistance is $3. So RSI is beautiful. That $3 is already our next resistance. So knowing that from another source, like the RSI saying, if we reclaim this, that is $3, and that's how tough $3 is going to be. But if we reclaim $3, we deserve a rally into the top. But instead of being 81, let's take this number, which is 7, and let's subtract that from 81. It's gonna give us 74 if my math is working, and let's put 74 in here, and that is gonna give us $7.5. Now we know the levels from RSI. Let's park that just for a second and let's look at the Fibonacci extensions. I'm gonna switch off the reverse RSI so we can focus on these levels. How am I doing this? I'm taking the lows from August into the actual top in January, and then the bottoming at $19, and that's giving me an extension of one of $7 and a golden pocket of $10. From here, that is a rally of $270. But if we have that crash of, let's say, 44% to $15, and from there you enter, then it's a 570% dollars. That is assuming if we get lucky and we do repeat the same performance post this breakout in here, starting from $15 to get into $10, then you get something of similar proportions to the rally that you missed. Guys, I need to finish this video. We're gonna be doing the Elite Weekly TA private session in just a couple of hours. If you want to join that, you can use the link of my Patreon, which is in the description. Join Elite and hurry up to pick the coins that you want me to review. Remember that you need to vote. At the moment, there's roughly 15 people that have signed up for Elite. Each person gets 5 votes, and then I pick in priority order from the top rank to the bottom. Last week, I managed to review all of them in 1 hour, but this week there might be a little bit more coins, and I also need to prepare to make sure that I do proper TA of the coins I never heard before. I also need to prepare the answers to the questions of people. The Q&A is gonna be live but private with all the Elite members, and then that video is gonna go live in a couple of days in YouTube so everybody can watch it. See you in the next one. Take care. Bye bye.